Yeah, they said that they came here as a vacation and they're just looking to have fun. But I'm not at all surprised to see them make it this far in this tournament. I've always felt that this is a roster that's had a ton of potential. And Mopsio, even though he said he's not trying to imitate the Zealots run, it's hard to deny the impact that he has on any team that he's proving over the course of this tournament.
I love how the Leftovers have adapted throughout the tournament. In the very beginning stages, I saw they were having some issues on the macro side of things. But then yesterday in their series, they came off so strong. And I actually think that they've been able to fix those problems that they've been having. This is a different Leftovers.
Well, let's talk about their opponents first. We'll come back to the Leftovers. Looking at Team Method, Kala, the question I want to ask you about this team is, in what has been a traditionally pretty rigid meta, this team has been able to find success with some pocket picks, with things like their double melee assassin, with their ADRD picks. What is it about this team that allows them to still have that kind of success?
They're so unpredictable. You have no idea what sort of picks are going to come out. We're seeing ADRD here, fantastic player. You want to ban out all of those crazy heroes like the Abathur, you want to ban out the Dahaka, blah, blah, blah. But the thing, like, he'll pull out a Zarya on you on the back half of the draft. Like, we saw them running a Zarya and a Malthael as well. Like, you just cannot count out this team when it comes to their pocket picks. They're fantastic.
Yeah, the Zarya, the unique flavor that ADRD has forever known for bringing the compositions, has been phenomenal to see, even despite the third bans. You know, I asked Kaldor about it, and I felt like third bans would hurt them, but he said if nothing else, maybe at first, but now they have been able to flourish even farther as they continue to have that success. Halorn, what is it about this team that you think has gotten them to the point that they're at now?
I think a lot of it comes down to both Nick and Bad Benny. Sure, their drafts are always going to be unorthodox, hard to breed or predict. But when you have heroes or players like Bad Benny, anytime we've seen him on Murden, he jumps out and lands that Stormbolt, the entire team is quick to collapse on that. And Nick's Maiev is absolutely terrifying anytime he shows up, jumps out of a bush, gets the Umbral Bind, gets the Yank. Their engagement is insane.
Which is weird considering Nick had not practiced with the Maiev, said Bad Benny, and yet he's just that phenomenal. Bad Benny himself has a 97% kill participation rate, one of the highest in the world, and you can tell he has shrugged off that baggage of the solo lane, is happy to be back in his warrior role. Switching over to the Leftovers now, though, Kala, the more I watch this team, the more they remind me almost of Roll20 last year, where they have these specific picks for each person, and it feels almost impossible to ban anyone out.
Yeah, they're definitely a very interesting team, very team fight focused team. They're throwing in some different heroes that we haven't seen too frequently in the current meta. You know, they're throwing in the Li Ming, we got the Greymanes coming through for them as well. We even saw them in their 3-0 victory yesterday against Altausis running the Ragnaros on Brax's holdout. So they're a very fun team. Honestly, one of my favorites so far to watch here in this tournament.
I think one of the breakout stars has definitely been DAB. Anytime this guy gets the right positioning and the right engagement that he wants, the enemy is DED. As much of an impact as he's had, though, you cannot count out Blakitny. On his Greymane, he's able to jump in. I think we see a lot of times where DAB is enough of a distraction for the enemy team, though, where Blakitny just goes in and just kills everybody.
And of course, we were talking about playmaking supports earlier when we were referring to Zaylia. You look at Linked, that guy is an absolute monster when it comes to the supports.
Blakitny, I feel, has improved a lot since Link played too, with his positioning too. He's still being able to play aggressively as he would like, but it's been honed in. But I agree. It feels like out of everyone, if you're going to take comforts away, it has to be Deckard. Am I right? Like, Link is making way too many plays with that hero.
Yeah, I mean, that hero's been huge this entire tournament, but specifically in his hands, those roots are being properly timed with Mopsio's engagement. Whenever we see them get on the same page, somebody's waiting to respawn.
Well, let's get into this best of 5. It's an elimination match. EU has to take out EU, and we're going to Battlefield of Eternity for Game 1. Bans on Dragonshire from the Leftovers. Method continuing with their Tomb ban. Battlefield of Eternity, what a way to kick off this series.
I would like for Leftovers this time around to be a little bit more cautious about easily giving up the Hanzo. I think in the hands of something like Method, they can run away with the game with that hero. He has such high success rate on this map. He's absolutely fantastic here. That's my one thing that I wanted to start this game out with. Also, of course, Maiev is going to be a big point of contest, as well as Medivh and Sergeant Hammer.
I like this battleground a lot for Leftovers, actually. Sure, there are some oddball strategies you can bring to the table, but this is one of the most straightforward battlegrounds we have in the current HGC map pool. So in this, Leftovers doesn't really have to worry about macro too much. There's only 2 lanes. There's a huge objectives. That's always going to be the main call to action. They can play this game straight up.
Method, it feels like they always have such an advantage in draft because you got to use those 2 bans on things like Abath or Medivh, whatever things are very strong, whereas Method have been the only team at this tournament to employ the idea of role isolation as severely as they have been with those 2 bans. They always have a role that they're picking, whether it's Warriors versus Team Dignitas, whether it's solo laners versus Heroes Hearth Esports. Here we see it be on good damage dealers for the race.
We've heard EU teams say the biggest goal, take Diablo away from Mopsio. That's not going to be the case here. That's the first pick, Diablo. I like what Method is doing opening up this draft, though. Banning the Phoenix and the Li Ming. Those are comfort picks for leftovers.
Imagine the amount of respect DAB has to feel right now because, like they said, Mopsio and Diablo is absolute terror, figuratively and literally. But at the beginning of the series, they're gonna prioritize Li Ming over Diablo in this situation. Leftovers have to feel good about that. Ooh, they can't feel good about that.
They get the deny, and Method have 2 stellar Maiev players. I almost wonder if Method with those 2 bans were trying to bait leftovers into making sure that they picked a damage dealer in that first pick, but having Diablo is going to be very nice for leftovers. Let's see if we end up with Blakitny playing his Gray main later on. For now, we get a Tracer.
Okay, Tracer on LAN. We've heard leftovers talk about how fantastic that is. Yrel as well. I would say arguably one of the best offlaners in the game, or probably I would venture to say the best one at this point right now. Method, considering their bans, they can look to lock out the support pool of Linked at this point, and they're going to do it. They want to stop that playmaking potential from the support player of leftovers. I think that's a fantastic choice.
I have to agree with it. I like the Sergeant Hammer ban. Also, I'm curious to see what support leftovers are going to go for. Something that we saw at the beginning of the tournament have a huge impact is Stukov, and he's kind of fallen off over the course of day number 2. But with the Malfurion ban, I think that'd be a really strong option. But maybe an Ancestral Healing from Rhaegar, depending on the backline of Method, could be big.
I think it'll be the same. There were some punches being thrown, and I agree. Probably the Kharazim. I am floored that we have no Hanzo here, and we continue to have no Hanzo here. Hanzo just has not found the same level of success you would want in this tournament, but especially here on Battlefield of Eternity. Interesting to see him make him all the way through the draft. Method will put Nick on Raynor to make sure that they have that solid, sustained damage for the race.
I wonder what that level 1 talent choice for Raynor is going to be. This is BOE, in fact, because this might just be, I wouldn't even go as far as to say budget Hanzo when you compare the level 7 never outmatched, and there we're seeing it actually, the Kharazim, the level 7 never outmatched of Hanzo versus Raynor. It's actually quite comparable, and yes, leftovers finishing their draft with Linked on the Kharazim, and ADRD probably going to be playing that Tassadar. Tass Tracer here on BOE. You guys, what do you think?
I think they're going to need that double support because the timing of Bunker against the bomb from Tracer, that could pretty much negate any opportunity to win a successful team fight. So you want that longer sustain. Leftovers had to deal with the long con on this battleground yesterday. They definitely know how to play that, but ooh, Garrosh, that's going to be a party starter.
There's only been one other Tassadar played this entire tournament, I believe, but pairing it with the Tracer to allow Tracer to be able to continue to sustain herself throughout fights. When you have Kharazim too, so that she can have a dive buddy along in, and Linked that way can still be able to offer up his same playmaking ability, just on a different hero. I'm excited to see if his Kharazim is indeed as good as his Deckard Cain, because it is awesome. Thoughts on the draft overall? Anyone gain your favor, Kala?
I think that I really like the playstyle that Method's going to be bringing. They've got the better race. I believe if they're able to just sit on the Immortal, but the defense from leftovers is going to be fantastic. And if Kharazim can ever get onto that Immortal, he's the best support when it comes to racing. So I think they're actually quite even right now, but I gotta go with Method. You got that Maiev, you've got that Deckard Cain. I think their draft is fantastic.
For me, I feel like this map in particular is going to be Mopsio versus Bad Benny. If Mopsio charges in and then gets rooted and the rest of the team isn't there to follow up, that's pretty much going to be a free kill on Diablo. But Garrosh, if they're able to get on him at the right time and keep him in a defensive posture, I definitely see leftovers taking this series, or this map at least. However they play, but Bad Benny gets caught out of position every now and again, so I do think the leftovers are going to win this one. Well,
I am just so happy that we have Battlefield of Eternity, my favorite map for Game 1. Casters, are you guys as excited as I am to get this series going?
You've got to love a bit of Battlefield of Eternity. It can always lead to some crazy fights. And as the analysis mentioned, the potential for our first exterminator of the tournament.
Yeah, but I'm hyped for something completely different here. This is the first time at the tournament now that we are actually seeing DAB's Tracer with a 0 ping and also now adjusted monitor settings, which they discovered on the first day. And he said it's a completely different game. So I'm hyped to see what he can pull off on Tracer here today.
For those who do not know, that several of the players of Leftovers came in having never played on a high hertz monitor before, so they were very excited, just like, wait, what? This game is so smooth. As we are heading in, ladies and gentlemen, to the smoothness that is game number 1.
And over to the left side of the map, we have the Leftovers with a fantastic tournament so far. Portiboss currently on Urel on that offlane. DAB, of course, finds himself on his number 1 on Tracer. Linked currently playing Tassadar here. Oh, sorry, Karazim with Blink Kidney on Tassadar. And Mobsia on Diablo up the front. The Leftovers, ladies and gentlemen, in game number 1.
And on the right-hand side, it is Method, where we have ADRD playing the Maiev. We're going to have Curson. He is bringing out the Deckard Cain. Bad Betty is on that Garrosh. Nick is going to be bringing out the Raider. Athero Angel, he is, of course, on the Blaze.
It's such a fantastic story between the two teams here. It's one of those pupil meets the master moments. We have heard so much of Mobsio, how much he appreciates ADRD, how much he has learned from him, and how much he could take after playing with ADRD, after studying with him, to his new team, to the Leftovers. And now he is facing off against him in a little bit of a Padawan position that we have here now. And it's really a matchup that he didn't want to play. He said, why do we have to play against Method? Why does it have to be ADRD's team? But now he can prove if he already surpassed the Master.
Who is the student and who is the master?
Yeah.
What we are finding out right now. Also finding out that there is going to be no Exterminator here, sticking with the team fight damage here. So we're sticking with the Ace in the hole. You already have Blaze and Deck set up for that. So it's still going to give you fantastic damage output.
And if you guys are not really familiar with the Tracer of DAB, make sure that you watch him here. We had him with a bit of nerves. Well, actually, hold your horses up at the top, and now someone else is nervous too. Athero, because he cannot get past that wall. Nice body blocks coming in from Leftovers as they secure kill number 1 in the game.
Absolutely fantastic body blocks, like you said. Now they're going to use this opportunity to begin burning down that Mercenary camp in the top lane. DAB and Blakitney, they have been holding down the spot lane for the moment, but Nick using that single target damage of Reyna from range to really try and trade out the second that shield goes on cooldown.
And that is definitely going to pressure DAB a lot. But as I was about to say, when we saw that kill occur at the top lane, DAB is known for his Tracer plays. It's actually a hero that in Europe is banned out against him every single game because that's the hero he made his name on. When he came into HGC and started to play Tracer, teams very, very quickly realized that that is a hero where he's murdering people. In this case, he's the one that might be getting murdered though, as he goes in a bit too deep, and Maiev secures a kill. Great play here on the side of Method, and DAB immediately getting taken out.
ADRD from out of the darkness with the wonderful two-man tether, giving them a fantastically easy kill. Good job second blood, sorry. The first kill was obviously Athero Angel going over to Method, and they try to use the timing to begin burning down their Fallen Shaman camp. If they can, they will try to time it, as the objective will be starting in not too much time. There it is. So they're going to be able to time this pretty well with the start of the first Immortal phase.
There's actually another reason also why people should watch out for DAB a little bit, because apparently he's the one that is getting a little bit nervous about the performance here. As always on your first offline event when you're playing on stage, there's a lot of pressure.
Especially if you start doing well.
Exactly, that's the thing. They came here and said, like, guys, we're going to have a bit of a vacation, we're going to have some fun, get some experience, and all of a sudden you are in the top 4, and that adds pressure. All of a sudden you realize how far you could go. And yesterday he had some issues with nerves. Is that going to be the same case today? He has that high impact hero. He needs to be the one excelling for Leftovers. So we're going to watch out how he's going to pull it off. Because Method, they're going to target him. They're going to target him hard, as we could just see a few seconds ago.
But for now, we start to see the Immortal race coming in here with Leftovers falling a little bit behind as Method, with that single target damage, are beginning to burn down, get the halfway point, but Leftovers trying to move in and pick up some kills instead.
Urel once again disruptive here. They're trying to get the kills and the setups against Bad Benny, maybe against the Athero at that front line. But we have the halftime show in the hands of Method. They are so quick on that burst at this point. But also Leftovers trying to respond in kind. Method a little bit slow with the rotation towards the Immortal, and it is a race, but Method has the tools.
They have the tools. You can see Tassadar. He does not exactly do a huge amount of immortal damage, and as such, although much lower than it could have been otherwise, if it hadn't been for that Diablo and Yarel zoning there, we are going to see the immortal going over to Team Method.
And there's also a few adjustments in talents we haven't really touched upon, but this is something, of course, that we oftentimes talk about, the synergy with Tassadar and Tracer. The level 4 talent, highly important here. You want to give Tracer the extra sustain, therefore you go for Karla's Embrace instead of Karla's Light, trying to increase that life steal that comes with a Plasma Shield. And oftentimes when we're seeing a non-Tracer hero being played, then it's all about the extra armor. It's trying to keep your front line alive, especially in the meta that oftentimes values compositions that can one-shot someone. But here, it's all about the sustain for Tracer. And they'll need this because Method is aggressively pushing in with a level 7 talent and with the first Immortal of the game.
And the first Immortal is going to take down the first 4. Also, 3-man Root coming in from Deckard Cain there, really muting the defense of Leftovers a little bit here. Diaby also having to pull back as he took several chunks of damage. Poti in trouble, goes over the wall, and he will be able to back up.
Well played from a Method so far. They're looking for kills now, but we have the counter-aggression from DAB. Diablo, on the other hand, in trouble, and Mopsio falls as the rest of the team is trying to dish out a bit more damage. They had the 7, but it's their front line that falls.
Malevolence for Diablo, extra damage, but unfortunately did not obviously save him in that last engage as he was picked off by Team Method as he himself moved in to try and get that counter turnaround kill. Either way, Method, with almost a full level lead here, they're beginning to reset it into the map. Blaze and Deckard went back for health. As Blaze going to rotate back up top, he might spot Potibos doing this, but with reinforcements coming for Leftovers, this camp will almost certainly be seized.
Yeah, Leftovers, they are definitely struggling to find kills at this moment or to find a good engage. One of their biggest problems is that there are so many CC tools on the side of their opponent that it's very tricky for Tracer to make those plays. And they themselves are lacking some CC here, so they are heavily reliant on Diablo making the engage, but that oftentimes ends up with Mopsio in a position where he gets immediately pounced upon by the rest of the opponent's team. And especially when you can't really go into that Reyna, he is going to dish out a ton of damage safely from that backline position.
ADRD, Vengeful Spirit comes in, does not connect, backs up, decides not to teleport in directly into tower range, wants to play a little bit safer, moves back with the rest of the team as they clean out the minion wave, continue piling the pressure on. This will achieve at least one tower here. Small boosted XP, but all XP matters.
Especially as you're heading towards level 10. And Diablo, he's at 88 stacks on his souls. The thing is that he will be such a nice frontline right now in these situations. He's so hit point heavy, but again, he's isolated very quickly here, and the rest of the team is zoned out. They have trouble helping him out here, and immediately Diablo in trouble. No kill. There it is, though. We have the final auto attack from Reyna, and that's a massive problem, but a counter kill potentially against Bad Benny.
Benny's so low. Potibos with a huge amount of disruption, but it's not going to be enough. A fantastic disengage, and that kill, you could consider it to be bad because Diablo had so many souls, but the fact is he was on 94. Yeah, he had the long spawn time, but no one rotated to the Immortals yet. This means he's going to still be just as tanky. You're not going to get that classic Diablo syndrome where you get that double death.
But the problem really is that Leftovers are now in a situation in which they were trying to force that fight because it was a fight before level 10 abilities were hitting. And that is now a massive issue for them. Method is now claiming theirs, and we already have another kill opportunity here. The taunt is perfect, and that's the heroic ability just showing full value as Method secures another kill and is now in a position where they can easily take the objective in the middle of the map.
Complete and consistent shutdown on that Avenging Wrath. That was beautiful. Toss into Tether, into Taunt, and they were able to take him down. Now we see the race coming in, and this time we are actually going to see Method on the opponent's side of the map, putting even more pressure on, as there is nothing Leftovers can do. With Yarel only just respawning and level 10 just around the corner, there's no way they wanted to fight up till now.
Yeah, exactly. And so the kill at the top lane against Diablo and that engage, that was from a strategic point of view absolutely crucial. And if Mopsio goes in a bit later, or if the rest of the team can push in just a tiny bit faster, then they might get that kill, and that could have led into an even fight here. But now Method is ahead before we are seeing the Immortals attacked again. And we're already seeing that massive lead, 8,000 hit points against 20k, and Leftovers, they really try and make something happen here, because their problem is, if they lose out on the Immortal now, especially with so many shields remaining, Method is going to snowball heavily in experience.
Leftovers with the classic 4-man defense with a single hero killing the enemy Immortal. This time, though, it's their support. It's Karazim. He does do a fair amount of single target damage. They begin to move in onto Blaze.
And here comes the Hyperion, already setting that through, but nice zoning tools once again. Boss jumping in and Benny throwing him out immediately. The light grab comes through. They're trying to go for the kill. The bunker's on the ground. Nick in trouble. He enters the bunker. They're trying to get the kill. Trace is already following it up again, but the roots of Deckard Cain are slowing them down every step of the way.
7-sided right on the edge of taking out Benny. A lovely disengage by Method there as everything begins to calm down a bit, but the lack of any kills there required by Leftovers guarantees this Immortal going over to Team Method. They were able to burn through a fair amount of the shield, but nowhere near as much as last time.
They just have so much trouble getting these kills. They already had everyone low, especially Nick was just about to fall when that bunker came down and saved them. Leftovers are still in this, but the experience for Method should really skyrocket now as they have the Immortal moving towards the top lane. That should be an easy fort for them. And then we're talking about early level 13 talents for the team in red.
They're bringing the 5-man, no split soak with Blaze. Everyone is here, seeing if they can catch someone as well, who maybe snowball themselves to a tier 2. But with the shield already mostly gone, that looks less and less likely. With Leftovers making the sensible decision, they're 5v5. They have no reason to fight outside their base right now. They're more than happy to back up and protect their keep.
The important part is that Urel was able to push out the bot lane, and that's experience lost for Method as they cannot get those minions, but at the same time it's all about the protection of your keep towards the top, and that's why Urel is needed in this position now again. Method breaks through the wall. If they could get the keep, that would be the dream for them.
The Immortal down to just over half health. Hyperion is being dropped, beginning to siege in. Diaby's already got the shield applied. Good stun by Benny as Poti looks for a play on ADRD, but Vault of the Wardens shuts that down, and the Lornado for good measure. Keep will survive, but it is not looking healthy.
Yeah, it barely survives here, but as long as they hold on to it, that's all they need. So it's definitely tough, but they pulled off the defense. And there's no one really on the side of Method that has a good chance of sneaking in and contributing the final few blows here. But they have to make sure that they're pushing out the top lane. And it's going to especially become a bit of an issue when the next Immortal comes online and Method takes their own Shaman camp. So there will have to be an early reaction. But with Tassadar in the mix and the AoE that you have through him and his Storms, that should be something that they can still hold on to for quite some time.
We see Athero dashing away, immediately gets the potion, so Pulse Bomb is burned as Bad Benny looks for a play here. Diaby has one blinker left at this point, trying to get it back with that bullet time as he is being chased down, has to use the recall, finds the gap and will sneak away. Very nice cheeky little play here, 7-sided on the back line. So they move forward, Poti causing a huge amount of disruption as the taunt is dropped, and the bunker puts up such a good defense here.
Leftovers have shown over and over again here at the Western Clash that they're willing to fight into a talent advantage, and they're trying to do it again. They go for ADRD. IFS down. Leftovers with a chase. Tracer with all the mobilities going in, and here comes DAB. He wants to kill. He doesn't get it though. Not just yet, as Bad Benny survives. And barely Karazim also keeping himself and Boss alive in that fight. But at least one kill on the side of the Leftovers.
They were able to dive deep, unable to pick up that second kill, but Boss, unfortunately, actually had to use Ardent Defender on a minion wave because he was so low backing up out of that fight. It did actually heal him up a fair amount as he ate every single minion aggro there. But overall, that one bit of comeback XP in that kill is such a big deal for Leftovers. Their keeps are alive. They are now even on talents. Now they can begin to reevaluate and begin to make a play.
Cooldowns are an issue though. 80 seconds on the Ardent Defender and another 40 seconds on Archon. So they try to definitely stall this for a bit longer. It's just always amazing how Leftovers are willing to take these fights when they are talent down. They understand perfectly when they can turn a fight, when they can re-engage, and when someone oversteps and opens up an opportunity for them. And they're trying it again here. Time bought for Archon to come back to business. Urel has to be careful, but this is a dance that we are seeing now between the two teams here in the middle to fight for objective number 3.
Urel is not here. She is clearing top lane as the Fallen Shaman would be pushing up to that paper mache keep. This has to be dealt with, but Bot Fort will be acquired for Leftovers here. A nice boosted experience. They will defend their lane, but they're giving up the halftime show for it. It's a defensive, safe play, but it is a necessary one.
Yeah, it's what I talked about earlier when the keep barely survived. Once you take the Shaman camp, it's just, you have to deal with it. You can't lose the keep here, but it also means that Method now has that lead, can take a defensive position on their own Immortal, but it will be a really important one. Leftovers cannot simply give this one up, because this would definitely mean key. This is a moment where if you win a fight as Leftovers, you can actually start a bit of a comeback, but it could also mean that you're losing the game if you're not able to pull it off in the team fight.
Boss in position for a trap. They're looking for a Thero, but he backs up to his team. It's all good. The poke consistently coming in from DAB. Tassadar will be able to do so as well, consistently with those Psy Storms as they slowly burn down the Immortal. Method will eventually have to pull the trigger, or this will go on for a while. The Tassadar sustain will keep Leftovers in this sieging position.
And especially these Storms, they are of course hurting, but there's no 16 yet. There's no Psionic Echo that would allow Blakidney to dash out even more AoE damage against this and soften these targets up to allow an opportunity for DAB to go in deep and maybe get a kill here. So it's just all of them dancing around and waiting for that one moment where one hero steps out and you can jump on them.
There it is. Poti looks for the opportunity as he moves forward, trying to get in position, but a toss out by Bad Benny is setting up for the Lightning Breath by Mopsio. It's Karazim, though, is the one who is zoned away by a clutch move by ADRD.
But Nick barely surviving here. That was actually a really close call. DAB went in deep and got the pulse bomb off, but Reyna survives. Tapping at the fountain, but that at least allowed Leftovers to get a lot of damage in against the Immortal itself. A lot of cooldowns burned here, but we still have the Ardent Defender and also the 7-sided available on the side of Leftovers. The problem is that Method holds onto the Hyperion, and there it is, securing the space and trying to use it to invade the Immortal and take it again.
Mopsio is just going to try and tank through this, but he doesn't want to get caught out alone as Boss is wrapping around the side. Good zoning here, though, by Bad Betty on Garrosh. Mopsio dives in deep. Warden's Cage juggles Mopsio, but 7-sided drops a lot of damage here as they try to force Method back. Not even for kills it, but trying to force them off the Immortal.
There's so many abilities in Heroics that basically cancel each other out. We see the Cage coming down and the attempt of Maiev to trap the fight, but then the 7-sided, which forces them to move out a little bit. And the entire time, it's just a back and forth, a trade in cooldowns that we're seeing here, as both of the teams are dead even in experience. Leftovers, they have the Lightning Breath here again on Mopsio's side. They could use it. They go for ADRD. They go in deep. The breath is there. DAB is going to look for that kill now.
As Lynx moves back, he's taking a lot of damage. DAB is dropping as much as he can. Boss with a great disruption immediately gets taunted, but Bad Betty is looking low. A beautiful pulse bomb by Nick as he picks up the kill.
DAB gets the first one. He goes in for the second. Cursen, he's low, and he goes down the double kill. The Leftovers have pulled it off.
As they move on to the Immortal, this is going to be their first of the game. The Keep is somehow alive in the top lane. Minion Wave cleaned that up, but there's so much little there. It's going to be Minion Wave versus Minion Wave, but the Minion is slightly in advance for Leftovers. That Keep will survive. This will now push in the top lane, so it's going to proxy the wave. This is the best possible scenario for Leftovers.
It's insane that that Keep still stands. The Minion Wave pushed in and it was already low, but right now it just has that sliver of health, and we have the push to the top lane. And this is the moment where Leftovers can really move forward. They have the leading experience already, but that Immortal can really help them to take down structures and to start and snowball a bit faster towards level 20. But there are no shields. Method did a great job at trying to go for the objective, but Leftovers have to get something out of it. They need to at least get that fort. 16 is there. The double storm is ready for Tassadar. The cleansing touch, and they're going for a Thero. The bunker comes out in the last second possible. A Thero with the attempt to move back. The Lightning Breath is there, but we have Blaze surviving.
The blessing from Deckard doing some work there, keeping a Thero alive as they begin to turn back. Nick also being forced to retreat as he is dropped low from the harassment. This is going to be the fort. The Keep survives, but Leftovers are beginning to gain some momentum and in fact have a full level lead right now.
And of course, at this point, you're looking at Cleansing Touch for Karazim. That's a game changer. You're looking at the Psionic Echo for Tassadar. He has such a great AoE damage available to him now, where he can soften up targets if it ever comes back to that standoff in the middle of the map again. And DAB is really finding into his own. This is the first game. We had a couple of shaky moments at the first start of the game, but right now, every time you see that Lightning Breath coming out, every time there's an Archon being popped and the 7-sided used, DAB is looking for that target, and Nick is having a tough time against him. Quite often he survived, but in the last one, Tracer was there again with a pulse bomb, dropped him, and that was the beginning of the end of the team fight for Method.
And even outside of these team fights with the 7-sided, Linked has been a silent hero for his team. He's been dropping solo in these team fights, but his level 13 6th sense has been keeping him alive. His cleanses with that cleansing touch have been on point. He has been making so many quiet plays. We move them in for Mopsio. As Athero is also out of position, Mopsio is going to get wiped by the Warden's Cage. Athero walks away.
Mopsio goes down for the boss. The Ardent Defender keeps him alive for now. Can he escape? Yeah, he tries and he jumps away. The kill against Mopsio, again, pushing him in and then zoning out everyone else. So important. Another attempt with Tornado to maybe get kill number 2. But Leftovers are back with 5 on the map. But Mopsio has now lost all the souls on Diablo.
That's rough. That is a rough scenario to be in. This is one of the hardest maps to stack souls-wise outside of those Firestorms. So Mopsio immediately rejoins his team. He's going to be happy to go for small scuffles to try and gain those souls back with that Firestorm.
Mopsio's already anchoring the play here, trying to see if someone overextends. Linked has the 7-sided. They can make the play. They're trying. 7-sided is in. The Hyperion comes out. DAB again looking for target. The Lightning Breath is roasting everybody. Reyna is dead. Everybody's low. It's ADRD who falls a second. The double kill as the Leftovers go for the Immortal.
And Leftovers put up a huge play with the no souls Diablo. Mopsio shouts out barbecue, and they begin to take the Immortal halftime show.
How would you like your Reyna medium?
Very well done. Very well done is how that was.
Going in again, yeah, trying to secure it with 100% shields, and I mean, there's no one to stop them. Method has 3 on the map. What you gonna do? Walk into the mid lane and suicide? That's not happening here. So it's all about the shields, and actually the Leftovers even invading here. Pori diving in deep. He doesn't have the Ardent Defender, but he's still trying to scare Method off. But that just shows. That actually shows the discipline and the knowledge and the nonchalance of Method here. They know perfectly well, you're just trying to scare us. You guys are still damaging the Immortal. We are not gonna give this camp up, so get out of here.
And the camp is taken. That's once again pressure on top lane. The keep is still low as Mopsio has dove deep. He's getting focused down, but this time he's tanking through it, even with so few souls. Warden's Cage and Torn. Mopsio will 100% full here, but can Leftovers get a turnaround play outside of this bunker as Bad Benny is very low pulse bomb, and it's just short of being enough to finish off Benny.
Barely enough to keep him alive here, but the Immortal is still pushing. Mopsio has fallen here, and they could not get a counter kill. They were hoping for that. The lack of souls is definitely a problem for Diablo at this point, and every time we see these Immortals pushing in, the Hyperion comes into play. Ardent Defender being used here. They're going for the keep, they're going for the kill, they're going for Nick, and they get him! No, they don't! They don't! It's Urel that falls, and Kerosene, and Nick somehow walks away!
Immediate Archon is dropped. They are committing. They want this keep at minimum, and they do get it. That Archon will allow them to escape. Top lane is still pushing. They will have, even porting will not save this keep. It is going down, so that is going to be a keep for a keep play here. Now the question is, will this Immortal get any core damage? Looks like it might get a percentage or 2, but it's going to be pretty tight, actually.
It's absolutely insane that Reyna survived, by the way.
Yeah,
that is just
absurd.
Crazy.
100%
I see the hero fall, and I'm like, okay, that's definitely Reyna. And all of a sudden, it's Urel that's dead, and I'm like, wait, what? How did he walk away again?
Into the fray, Potions value. A last-second save by Bad Benny.
Nick, at this point, when you look at Nick, I mean, he died a few times, but if you look at Reyna, he only died twice. He should have at least 4 or 5 deaths. Yeah. How heavily they dive him, and how often he walked away with maybe 2 to 3 hit points. Absolutely crazy. Nick, the escape artist, as he moves out.
Tracer getting absolutely wrecked by the stun lock there. Not even a chance as Mopsio has returned, but Trace is now down for another 55 seconds. That was a fantastic engage combo by Method.
Yeah, Leftovers have to be careful here now. It's still an even game with the top keep on the side of Leftovers, lost in the bottom keep for Method. But this is a moment where with both teams on level 20, you still have to be a bit patient. Mopsio needs his souls back. And right now with Tracer dead and one of the most aggressive damage dealers in their arsenal, they might have to keep up another keep. Method perfectly identifying that with Tracer down, they can go for it. And they want to even go potentially for a core here.
They're thinking about it with Tracer down. It's a 4v5. Lynx, though, he has Transgression, and Blakitny's shields on the core are going to be a problem with Archon just about to come back. They're slowly burning it down, but Mopsio with some good zoning position. They're going to dive deep onto Curse and pre-Tracer. This is so risky, but it might be what they need. Cleansing Touch keeps Mopsio alive. The Seven-Sided did monumental damage, but Link to Seven, he gets a lovely blink away to his team.
They saved it for now, and there's a Twilight Archon, and Tracer's back to business. They're trying to follow. She's not here just yet. On the way, as we're talking about it, but Method is able to escape.
Catapults in top, they very much have to be dealt with. There's no shield on the core. There's now a shield on the core, thanks to Blakitny, as he will burn those down, but that's still a couple more percentages off as Leftovers move to the center of the map to begin to duel Method, who have the better positioning right now.
But the problem is that Method burned so many heroic abilities.
They did.
This is a massive issue for them right now. They need to be super careful with this. And we're already having Leftovers moving in again. And Tacita is keeping the Twilight Archon alive. He's keeping that in play. So right now, halftime show should go over to Method. We have the Sharking around here. Position at the bottom for Method. This is getting really tense now.
Gets it. Finds the Immortal. Gets a little bit of extra time on it. He needs to keep attacking as Athero goes in. Immediate Cleansing Touch. Once again, Link saving his team there.
And the cooldown, of course, also going down. They're going in again. Here's Mopsio. Here comes Urel. The bunker is out, but the Lightning Breath is coming through. Burns it to the ground. Mopsio is low. He might fall. Can they get a counter kill? Diablo is dead, and he's not coming back anytime soon. But Nick falls too, as Tracer and Tacita take him apart.
DAB's coming up big. Looks for another. What's that Benny? But the potion's too good. Benny is super hydrated right now as he's able to pull back a 1-for-1 here. Once again, DAB, he was struggling in the backline there. Found a Garrosh looking for a Raider. Finally kills off the Raider though.
And Blakitny is getting so much Twilight Archon value now. He's at 116,000 damage at this point. Topping the damage numbers in the game. The fight goes on. Once again, the collapse onto Karazim, and he goes down. DAB, they want the Immortal. Tresida is trying to do whatever he can to maybe even get another kill. Benny is so low here, but there's no pulse from Benny.
He gets the potion. He's alive. DAB's trying to burn down the Immortal. It's taking forever as we see the great defense from Potiboss. The core is beginning to take shots. It's 3 catapults. Poti's on the move. Blakitny in full retreat as Method give chase.
We're 25 minutes into the game. The core is going to go down soon if they don't do anything about it. And so is Tacita. He's already gone. 45% on the core here. A fully shielded Immortal. But Method needs to attack. They need to go for it.
They're going to rush it.
That Immortal is going to burn everything apart. But look at it again. Leftovers are trying to buy some time. They try to get the kill. Mopsio goes in deep.
They can't port back if it's a barbecue, as Mopsio says, burn it down. They move forward. DAB looking for the angle. Athero dashes forward. This is a duel. The longer this goes on, the worse it is, because Karazim's going to be back. Taz is going to be back. Method are waiting far too long for this.
Kill it with fire. That's what Leftovers are thinking right now. The Immortal on the right side of the map is doing the damage, but here comes the 7th. They're going for Benny. Hyperion comes out. Not even on the core. It's 45%. The keep at the top lane on the right side is nearly gone. Curson is slow. Portimos jumped in.
38.
The gun is down, but the core is falling. The
20
core is falling. 7-6. She as Method takes the game just before the Immortal walks towards the right side of the map to end it in favor of Leftovers. What a finish.
That was a fantastic finish. I really thought they would be waiting too long there, but Method, they pulled the trigger, executed with that bunker to perfection. It was a difficult move to make, but they pulled it off beautifully.
But Leftovers as well, going in knowing that you have 2 down and you know you need to slow them down. The Immortal is going to do the job for you. If you just buy the time, the Immortal will win the game for you. So they were trying to buy time over and over again for the rest of the team to respawn, trying to bait heroic abilities out of Method before they reach the core. But with only 45% left, Method could pull it off and snipe it.
Let's send you guys back over to our splendid analysis desk to talk you through that insane first game.
So, 4 more like that one? Yeah?
Yeah. Wouldn't mind that at all.
That was a pretty good game, Lauren.
What really amazed me about that game is it proves that Heroes of the Storm as a game is one of the most compelling esports on the planet. The energy in this room over the course of the game was insane. You guys are awesome. But what we saw there was Team Method managed to hang on time and time again, but Mopsio unrelenting, going in with Diablo, non-stop action from beginning to end.
He is a fantastic warrior player, that's for sure. But I actually have a replay I want to go over where I think this sort of aggression from Leftovers is going to lead them down a dark path if they continue to do it without thinking more about their strategies. We can jump into the replay here, and yeah, basically the whole setup was, I believe that Leftovers had 100% chance to end the game at this point. If we consider the facts, look at the health on this Immortal. This is absolutely insane. You have a full shield Immortal. Your opponent's only way of winning this game at this point, Method, is to fight past the Immortal. But look what happens as we progress this clip. Leftovers start moving in onto Method's keep wall here, and Mopsio looks for an engage. We see the pings coming out right over here. They know where Method is, but that is one of the only plays that Leftovers cannot make. They need to play slower. They need to let the Immortal, which is still represented here, push in first. They need to play much, much slower. But because of the speed of this play by Leftovers, it ends up in them losing heroes before the Immortal even gets a chance to really be successful here. And this is, again, a full shield Immortal this late into the game. This was the end of the game for Leftovers. They found the engage. They looked for it. It was very, very greedy. Mopsio falls in this trade. And Method, they defend under these circumstances. Absolutely fantastic defense by them, but it's led off by the over-aggression by Leftovers.
Yeah, they were up there too fast before the Immortal had shown up too, and because Mopsio Souls had been reset prior to that, which was cool that they were still able to get a kill, I believe, 4v5, but went back in with knowing Mopsio was going to be back. It actually kept Method off of the keep, getting the keep earlier on because they were able to know that Diablo was going to come back. Method are pretty cool in that I feel like they're one of the best in the world at being able to disengage and then re-engage. And I feel like that was something that they were known for when they were this previous roster before. But something that they're becoming known for now is close calls at this tournament because they have had so many close core calls. This one versus Tempo Storm. They've had another one to Dig where they ended up losing to the Winions here. They were so close. They made the call they needed to make. It just wasn't fast enough. And then later on, Bad Benny down to the wire versus this Mule, the real 1v1 of Legend, is able to take out the core there. And then here, you know, it wasn't as close, but it still was a close call. Kala, to have the tenacity to make these kinds of calls under those situations cannot be easy.
Definitely not, but I think it's part of the European scrim culture. Okay. These teams are, like, we see it from Fnatic, we see it from Method, we see it from Dignitas, all of these top-level teams, they make these calls that are so fantastic, and a lot of the times, as viewers, we're like, is that gonna work? And then they move in and they just end the game like that. And they understand how win conditions work and how to close out games. They're absolutely fantastic. But yes, they're very high stress. And I can't help but say there must have been many, many failed attempts like that within the scrim environment, but the confidence builds over time. And we see it translate into these games.
Going into the tournament, I had called Team Liquid the clutch artists of EU, but Team Method, they're making a really strong argument that that title was misplaced. But I think there's another avenue to success for Leftovers that you and I were talking about that they didn't really go for, and that's hero prioritization. So many times we saw Mopsio and a crew focus on Bad Benny, who has armor on Garrosh and tons of sustain from Decker Kane. And Nick is like standing right there with 5% health. If they change their priorities to go more towards the back line, I see them winning more of those team fights, more of those chases, and I think they can turn the series around.
I think a lot of that goes back to the disengage, re-engage that Method were able to execute, even kind of doing it just to re-engage and get the Immortal with the Raynor too, which was really cool. But later on in the late game, you did start seeing DAB make it in, get those clutch kills on Nick. So we'll see if they can do it again here. Great to see that he, even in a LAN environment when it's a high-stakes situation, he's still being able to provide those kills for the team. Up next is game 2 between Method and Leftovers. And Leftovers have chosen Battleground after losing the last game, and they will take us to Infernal Shrines.
I love this choice for them. This is a Battleground that has a singular call to action. They seem to do their best in a full 5v5 team fight. I think they have some of that inexperienced rambunctiousness of a team where they're just going to lay it all on the line, especially in the late game. Infernal Shrines plays to that for sure.
Method, I know this is going to sound crazy, but they're the most versatile, I would say, on this map when it comes to the draft. You know, we already mentioned earlier, bringing in the Zarya, sometimes even the Malthael. So it's going to be interesting to see how the draft plays out on this map, but I love what Method can bring on Infernal Shrines. But as you mentioned, single point of contest, leftovers, that skirmish team. It's going to be an explosive game number 2.